It's a damn shame that some black folks are running around acting like COINTELPRO is a bygone tactic. What it do, family? Over the past weekend, I stumbled upon a few articles about the young brothers in Tennessee, the young representatives. And one thing that I kept noticing was that almost every news article that I was reading about these young men, it was more and more positive. And as a black man growing up in America, I've never seen the mainstream media ever speak good or speak well on a black man unless he is a part of the white supremacist system, unless he is a coon, unless literally he's doing things that shows that he is literally against the black community in which he belongs to. So seeing that and seeing this in all these different newspaper articles, and it was all positive, I have to start asking questions. And one of the questions that I would ask immediately is, whose payroll are these young men on? Because literally, when you aren't speaking towards black issues, then you're elevated. When you're speaking towards black issues, you are not elevated. It's just simple and plain. You know, no matter what platform you're on or what platform you have, if you're speaking towards black issues, whether on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, anywhere, if it isn't a black-owned app or a black-owned platform, because it doesn't have to be an app, anywhere. So when you speak to black issues anywhere, they refuse to promote you everywhere. When you speak to black issues anywhere, they refuse to promote you everywhere. And one of the things that I've been noticing is more and more coons are becoming involved with the situation. Kamala Harris flew down there and stood with the young men when they were reinstated. Well, one of them has been reinstated. The other one will soon be reinstated, I'm assuming. However, she flew down and she went and she, palled around with these young men. Mark Thompson, who Professor Black Truth calls Big Bird, he's been down there palling around with the young men too. I'm only surprised I haven't seen Al Sharpton down there yet. And that's the only thing that surprised me. This would seem like something that would be right up his alley. But I digress. Our people have, I don't know, some sort of belief, some sort of idea that because you see black men or black women and they're literally being followed in a picture by other black people, that they were there to be representing black issues. But when you listen to these people, every time you listen to these people, if you're wise enough, you can hear the COINTELPRO in their speeches, in the way that they speak, in their politics, in everything that is their agenda. Because while these young men were being expelled because they're black, and all of the articles that I read made sure you knew that that was the reason that this situation was. Not allegedly, not anything like that. The situation all happened because these men were black. But what they don't tell you, what they do not tell you, is that those black men were up there representing white issues, LGBTQ issues. Not nothing that these men went up there and spoke about had anything to do with the issues that Black America goes through. It didn't have anything to do with any of that. And I get online and I hear a lot of people speaking towards this as a racist situation. However, the only thing that makes it racist is the fact that these men were black and they were tossed out. But what they were speaking about had nothing to do with the black community. The people that they were representing at the time were white women. The people that they were representing were white women. The people that they were speaking for and representing at the time were white women. And it's important for us to address this situation because as I tell anyone that I have this type of conversation with, there are no excuses for these people to be throwing up a black fist, but everything that come out of their mouth is inclusive, but then it's exclusive to the black community. And this is what you're seeing. You're seeing a lot of people coming out, and they're supposed to be people who represent the black community, people from the civil rights era and on up. They come out and, to be more specific, people like Bobby Rush, your John Lewis's, your Reverend Flip Flop, Amos Brown. These are all people from the civil rights era and all this other stuff. But these are all people who are literally trying to, Mark Thompson too, Big Bird. These are all people that is trying to derail the progress of Black America. Whether it's in reparations, whether it's in policy, whether it's just the black grassroots speaking up. These are the people that you see speaking against it. Whatever it is we're speaking for, they're there to speak against it. Your Al Sharptons. Hell, I was even looking at an article the other day, and it was glorifying Angela Davis for being a LGBTQ civil rights activist. And that in itself is disingenuous, even though she is a part of that community. But it's the same thing that the napkin woman on TikTok tried to do when she was speaking about the Ruby Ridges story and said it was her that showed white women that they can go to school because they wasn't going to school before. And she did it for all women, not black men and women, but she did it for all women. These are the kind of things that we deal with people who are supposed to be black leaders. But they're not black leaders. They're black pawns. So the real black leaders is the code. And you can hear the code when a person speak, whether or not they're part of that leadership. The code don't change. The people might, but the code does not change. So if one person get taken out, guess what? The code is there to be your friend. The code will bring up anew to speak it. The code will bring up anew to represent it. And the new will be multiple of people. You can take us out, but you can't take out the message. So with the COINTELPRO situation where they say we shall give you your leaders, I'm seeing COINTELPRO written all over this situation with these young men. I'm seeing COINTELPRO written all over the situation with these young men. And this is just a fact. This is my observation. And this is why I feel that these young men are getting all this attention because they're trying to raise a group of leaders that they have on the strings. They're trying to raise a group of black faces to be infiltrators into the true black grassroots. So they manufacture situations like a march to their offices and things like that, a march to the representatives building. It's all manufactured outrage and manufactured political outcry when it comes to the black community, at least. Maybe not from the white community, because 9 times out of 10, those white women was not manufacturing what their agenda was, but they were manufacturing the fact that it was about racism, that these black men were kicked out. It was about the race. Because they didn't kick out the white woman that was a part of that so-called Tennessee 3. They didn't expel her. So there's a whole lot of stuff here that shows that there's a plan going on here, an agenda going on here. And I wanted to come in, I just wanted to remind my brothers, my sisters, my queens, my kings, that COINTELPRO still exists, and they still use COINTELPRO to this day. Still till this day. Never forget William O'Neal and how he infiltrated the Black Panther Party. We got Bobby Rush in Congress right now. But William O'Neal and Bobby Rush were two people who are largely considered accomplices in the unaliving of Fred Hampton. Don't believe me?
By any means necessary.
At this point, I question the whole purpose of the Black Panther Party. In my thinking, they were necessary. It was a shock treatment for white America to see black men running around with guns, just like black men had saw white men running around with guns. Yeah, that was a shock treatment. It was good in that extent, but it got a lot of black people hurt. My recruitment by the FBI was very efficient, very simple, really. I'd stolen a car and went joyriding over the state limit, and they had a potential case against me, and I was looking for an opportunity to work it off. And a couple of months later, that opportunity came when FBI agent Roy Mitchell asked me to go down to the local office of the Black Panther Party and try to gain membership. We tried to develop negative information to discredit him, just like we did everybody else. We, meaning the FBI, I tried to come up with signs of him doing drugs or something, and never could. He was clean. He was dedicated. I've had private conversations with him. We got along pretty well.
2 weeks later, a gun battle on Chicago's South Side further escalated tensions. A former Panther and 2 policemen were killed. The deaths provoked a response from informant William O'Neill's FBI contact.
Mitchell became more specific during that time. He wanted to know the locations of weapons caches. He wanted to know if we had explosives. He needed to know who was staying at what locations, who spent the night where. His information didn't change so much as he requested more detail, and I knew why. The shootout on the South Side had pretty much laid the foundation within the party, within the Black Panthers. We knew that the police would react some type of way.
Expecting police action, the Black Panthers had fortified their office. FBI informant O'Neill was now head of Panther security in Chicago.
And I remember walking out of the office and looking through a little clearing over on the next block, which was right in front of the Monroe Street address, and seeing a lot of police cars over there. And at that time, Bobby Rush came to the office. He had just come from over there, or maybe the coroner's office. In any case, we walked back over there, and we both were speechless. We just walked through the house and saw what had taken place and where he died, and it was shocking. And then I just began to realize that the information that I had supplied leading up to that moment had facilitated that raid. I knew that indirectly I had contributed, and I felt it, and I felt bad about it. And then I got mad. I had... And then I had to conceal those feelings, which made it worse. I couldn't say anything. I just had to continue to play the role.
FBI headquarters authorized payment of a $300 bonus to informant William O'Neill for, quote, uniquely valuable services which he rendered over the past several months, unquote.
So brothers and sisters, don't be fooled by the shenanigans. Do not be fooled by what you see in the media, on TV, read in the newspapers, especially when they're glorifying a black man or a black woman. They glorify Ketanji Brown, right? They wanted black folk to think that she was for black people. Never mind she's married to a napkin man. Never mind that whole case that she had with the black workers versus Lockheed. And all she had to do was sign off on it. Both parties already had signed off on the deal. And not only did she deny it, which would have led them black workers to gain millions of dollars, but she made it almost impossible for them to bring the case back up into another court. That's what Ketanji Brown did. But she's a black woman. She's there for us. She couldn't even define what a woman is. So in this case, she's just black. All skin folks ain't kin folk. And this is what we're seeing more and more. For a while, we was yelling about black representation. So what they did was say, okay, you want representation? No problem. They went and got their little bootlicks, their Negroes, their lapdogs, and start putting them into positions where they know they're not going to buck like the average black man or black woman would when it's something against their people. They're not going to go off on anybody when they're sitting there being racist to their faces. So yeah, they pick them up. They pick them like flowers, put them in their positions like a vase, and then keep feeding them what they need to be successful, because they know that if the black community takes, let's just say, if the black community accept them, then now they have a leader within the black community. When all these other people are being called out left and right. And that's what it is. They feed them like water to a flower. They talk highly on them. They speak well. Even though these same publishing places, these newspapers, these same outlets, these media outlets, these same people just a few weeks ago would be speaking bad on a black man or a black woman, especially if they were just murdered. Especially if something happened and they're calling it out, it would be allegedly. Allegedly would be what they're saying. But none of these outlets that I've seen have used the word allegedly. None of the outlets that I've seen were bashing the two young men at all. And that's suspicious, eh? You don't find that suspicious, eh? But anyway, with that being said, family, I just wanted to come and have that quick conversation with you. Don't be fooled by these people that they're throwing up in your faces. They don't speak to our issues. They're not us. They don't rock with us. We don't rock with them. That's just what it is. And another good indication is to look at their constituents and what their policy is for them. If the policy is all about everything and everyone else and nothing to address the issue with the black community or the issues within the black community, then you're definitely not a representative of the black community. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Like, comment, share. I want y'all to comment more than anything because I want you to tell me exactly what you think. Do you feel like these two men are for us? These two young men? If you do, please give me some examples of what they have done or they're trying to do for the black community. Do not add in anything about LGBT, immigrants, or anything else. If it doesn't have anything to do with the black community, they're doing nothing. Just like Obama. Just like Biden. That's it. And that's all. The doors of the church are closed.